Hi guys, welcome to the Mountain of God. My name is Kamil. Today is 28th of April 2021. Welcome to video number 8. Today, as we moved towards adulthood, I want to talk about a little bit more about the things that we talked yesterday. The last part, basically how to have your spirituality and your relationship with God had impact on any kind of part of your own life. And I talked about a little bit, but I want to go even deeper, because if we want to really be mature, not even mentioning be treated as adults in our lives, we need to understand what is the basis of everything. What do we really, kind of struggle with, or what do we really want to accomplish? And you can call it how to really be a Christian. What does it really mean to have a relationship with God? But what I really like to look at, and what is the angle that I like to take, which is the closest to my understanding, my heart and his relationship with him, is how to really understand how to walk with God. And you see, there's tons of misunderstanding here. Unfortunately, that's why it took me to understand this subject many years to kind of really distill it. And there was one guy who just basically said it perfectly, which underlined everything it's supposed to be underlined, at least from my perspective and my understanding right now, which interestingly is directly correlated to what Jesus said and did in his own ministry. Because the basis of Christianity and how you walk with God is by doing two simple things. One, knowing. Two, doing the will of your Father. Two things: to know and to do the will of your Father. That basically says everything about Christianity and everything about walking with God, everything about relationship with him. Because you see, the problem with that is that if we don't understand exactly that and what does it really mean, then we are often able or we might have this tendency to fall into do things. So we become part of the church because that's how we meet God, and many times where we meet people, so we're there. So many people start to act like walking with God is you doing something in the church. Walking with God is you reading your Bible and praying every day, which is to some degree is part of that, because that's how you learn about him. But it's not the basis. This is not a goal itself. The goal is to know and do the will of your Father. So I want you to kind of help you get out of this misery of being locked in this actions, doing things because of the doctrine, because of what's going on in the church, because what they tell me that I'm supposed to do, and because of that, feeling that there's something missing that I had for many years. And I want to bring you here and explain exactly what does it really mean and what you're supposed to do, so you would see that there's a completely different story of being like a church Christian and really walking with God, at least to the degree that I understand it right now. Because it's a journey, it's a work in progress. So, But first thing that I want to mention in here, or kind of look at, is if you want to know the will of God at the beginning, you have to understand how to talk with him, how to hear him. So that's why I'm going to again get back to the thing that we talked in the video, how to talk with God, because that's the basis for everything. You won't be able to know, not even mentioning doing the will of God, if you don't know how to talk to him. Because just to say it straight, I'm not talking about logos, I'm talking about rhema. The difference between those two, if you're not aware, logos is basically saying what God said in his written word. So that might be something that he said to Adam, like, just multiply and basically take over the earth. This is all for you, just enjoy it. That's something that he said for everyone. The same thing that Jesus did, the great commission. Tell people about me, tell people about kingdom of God, and bring them and make them disciples. That's something that he said for everyone. And that's logos. It's written. It's there for everyone. But we're talking about rhema. We're talking about being capable of listening and getting something which was exactly tailored to you and told you. Like, get up right now, take your phone, call your friend John from the church and tell him that I'm going to help him with the things that he's struggling with. But to John, that one? Yeah. To call right now, not tomorrow, no, right now. And tell him that you're going to help him with what he's struggling with. But I know what he's struggling with. But it doesn't concern you. This is much for him, not for you. So just get up and do what I'm telling you to do. This kind of thing. It's like a part prophecy, part outer prophecy. You know what I'm saying? So that's why to be able to do this kind of thing and know even more that I'm going to, jump into in a minute, you need to know how to listen and how to hear him. So that's why I said it at the beginning, because that's where it's supposed. That's when you're supposed to start with it. Why? Because it's gonna take you time. As I said, it's not obvious how it's supposed to be done because you're trying to talk to the Spirit. Not so obvious. And then, if you, at least that was my experience, that God talks to me through my thoughts. I don't hear him verbally. I don't hear him saying things. I hear him in my own head. And amazing thing is that it changed my life, but it took me time to be able to differentiate what is my own thinking and what is something that he's saying. So, it took me time because it's so easy to go and pray and just kind of imagine in your head that God is saying, "Oh, Camille, you're great. You're so awesome. There was never that such a great person and such a close to me son that you are." And then you're just like, I think I just pulled that out of my own hat. I know that just no. He loves me, yeah, obviously, and there are times when you need to hear that. But where you're just projecting your own wishes. That's not what he's saying. So one of the things that I like to do, which might help you as well, not only to give him time to answer your prayers or tell you, listen, this or that I want you to do, or this is what I want you to know about what you ask me. But what I like to do is just, when I'm praying, just tell him, Dad, tell me something that I don't know. Something that will challenge me, something that will, something that I will be surprised by. And as is everything, be careful what you wish for, because that's exactly what's going to happen. And it happened so many times, and even in the last weeks or months, I heard it many times that he said, no, you do it wrong, you see it the wrong way. When I ever asked you to do this, or where can you find it in the Bible that I ever told someone to have this kind of approach or this kind of behavior? No, you're doing it wrong. Or he will ask me some really crazy questions, like I'm talking about doing something, and he just completely out of nowhere asks me a question, why do you really want to do this? Even though I know that he wants me to. And then I'm just like, I'm just feeling pushed against the wall, and now I can feel the spotlight on me. And then I really have to think, what is the reason that I want to do this or that? And then not only I discover a lot of more things about myself, but even more, now I've got much more clarity why I was supposed to do this. And when I give him a right answer, he says, now I know that you get it. Awesome. This is exactly why I want to do this, because many times it's not a matter what to do, but why. So that's the first thing. You want to be able to sharpen your ability to talk to your Father. You want to give him permission to challenge you. Even more, this is something that I not really tested yet, but I think that's, closing. I've heard people doing this, basically asking that to judge them, to be really harsh on telling them what they're doing wrong. And that's something that completely will put you in a completely different sphere of prayer, because then Probably he's not going to only tell you, but as it happened at least a few times in my life, he's going to judge you, and he's going to take you through some experiences that will be harsh, that'll be tough to go through, but they will teach you much more than just being patted on the back and hear that you're great, because there's always something to change. And if you think that everything's great, it means that there's so much more things to change. So first of all, be able to listen, work on this ability, and challenge yourself and challenge him to challenge you. Because what you want to be able to do is to look at yourself, see last 12 months, let's say, and say, yeah, he changed me a lot. I asked him and he did it. And that's why you'll know that it's not something that you just projected in your own head that you wanted to hear, but you'll say, no, there was tons of stuff I didn't agree, I didn't want it. I heard that, I just basically did what I've been asked to do, and it changed me. And then you'll know that it's not you. Point number 2 is to really know the will of the Father for you. What would happen if I'll give you a piece of paper right now and a pen and ask you 2 simple questions that I did for some of the people? If I'll ask you, write down one thing, the last thing that Dad told you, especially if that was something that surprised you or really challenged you. Second, tell me, what is the thing that God is working on you right now? Something that maybe started like, a month ago. What are you going through? What He's trying to teach you right now? What would you write if I'll ask you, what is the thing that you're supposed to do for next week or next month or something like this? What would you write? What do you know about it? About where you are? What are you working right now? What He is working in your life right now? What would you write if I'll ask you, what is your short, mid, or long term, your calling? What until today you know, partially, probably because you don't know everything, and you is going to progress, but what do you know for now about your calling? And what do you see happen in your past that you can say, yeah, that was a lesson to teach me that was the lesson to teach me that. And these are the parts of the calling that I, at least for now, know that I'm prepared to do. And the problem with that is that so many Christians, when I ask the simple question, what is the last thing Dad told you? Many of the Christians do like, they're crickets. And you see, this is a problem. Because if you see something like this kind of answer, then you know that this is a problem. It's a problem in between you and your God. Because, I don't judge you. This is something between you two, not me. But from my perspective, this is a problem because if I can talk about irrelevant things like weather with someone who's, with the unbelievers. But if I meet a child of God, I want to talk about things that matter. I want to be able to share and say, listen, this is what God told me. That was so amazing to experience. That was the thing that He taught me last month. And I want to hear the same thing from you. But I meet people from my life. I ask them this kind of question. And sometimes I even hear, you talk to God? And I'm terrified. Because these are not people who are, I don't know, kids of God for a month. These are people who are in service. People who led worship, who are preaching from pulpits, you name it. That scares me. And one of the quotes that I found, one of the my Christian friends, he posted that only God can judge me, and it's supposed to scare you. So the first thing, sharpen your ability to talk to God so you'll be able to listen and hear what He wants to say. Second, know what He really wants from you. And third point, knowing is not everything. Doing is the deal. So when you know what you're supposed to do, now you're supposed to do it. And if you jump into that section of this whole equation, now you want to understand that you really need to sharpen your ability to hear, because not only you want to know in general what you're supposed to do, but now you get to the point when, with whom, how are you supposed to do that. Then you learn another rule, that there are times and seasons. That there's time to rest, there's time to learn, there's time for peace, and there's time for war. There's time for working on yourself, there's time to serve others. There's time to work in a church and give everything that you have, and there's time for you to lock yourself in your own house and for I don't know, week or month, like Jesus on a desert, sit down and listen to what God wants to talk to you. There's no time for entertainment, there's no time for anything. There's time for you spending with your God. Maybe there's a time for you for a fasting and prayer. And there's time for serving people outside of the church. And if God is giving you some tasks to do and He tells you, listen, the next week we're going to do this or that, you really need to, all the details, because you cannot have any doubts what you're supposed to do. That's why you really need to be sharp in this, because you don't want to know only the general truth, but you want to really know how you're supposed to approach it. Because if you listen to, let's say, prophets, they'll tell you that from everything that God tells them, like maybe 20% is something that they're supposed to pass to the person that they're prophesying to. Because the rest of those is just the context that they need to understand many times to give someone the word of wisdom or directional prophecy. The same thing here. You don't want to start doing something and then not being sure what's supposed to be or where you're supposed to do that, when, you know what I'm saying. So that's very important, to be precise. And one additional thing that I want to kind of give you on top of that is that when you feel that there's time for peace, there's time to rest, there's time, you went through some stuff, now it's time to chill out a little bit. I want to say, for those of you who are like me, the itchy people, those who have the spiritual ADHD, something that you just cannot sit in a place. You want more? Do something like this. Challenge your God. And I can tell you stories that I basically tested him. I was poking him to give me more. I remember times when I was asking, Dad, for next week, please teach me about prophecy. Talk to me. Open my mind and just talk to me. I want to be able to know things that I didn't know for ever. I want to know new stuff. And again, but be careful what you wish for. For next week, I remember, being in a bus or being in a public transportation, and he was just basically dumping knowledge on me. I was walking out of the bus feeling like I was drunk, because there was so much information put in my head that it was hard to follow. Other times, I remember I was asking him, told him, listen, could you give me some people that I would be able to talk with them about you, or talk and have some like really meaningful conversations. And in that next week, I had 2, 3 or more conversations, which were basically life-changing. And after that kind of conversation for the next 2 days, I was basically like in shock what just happened. Why? Because if you want more, you're gonna get more. That's why in the Bible it says that if you are following God, if you want to be close to Him, if you really prove to Him that you want to be close, that you want to learn, He'll tell you things about things which are hidden. He'll tell you about secrets that nobody knows. Because in general, if He sees that you want to play the game, He'll say, all right, let's play it then. And you'll be surprised. So again, sharpen your ability to listen. Know what He wants from you for now or for the few weeks or a few months. And 3, know enough and do enough, so you will feel in your heart that you delivered. And if you want more, just challenge Him to give it to you. Because this is what I want you to take from this video. Christianity was never about going to church, sing songs, clap your hands, listen to the sermon and then go back home and for the next 6 days do nothing. Walking with God and Christianity, which is basically the same thing, or supposed to be, was about you joining your God in a journey that you have no clue about joining His side of things, His universe that He sees, and having His mind and being kind of transformed to think like Him, feel like Him, and know things that He does, that 99.9999% of the humanity will never know. Why? Just because you decided to walk with Him. And you will see the difference, that how completely different thing is that being like a Sunday Christian, or just someone who just works and spends his time in a church, and someone who is taken on a journey on a different universe by your own Creator just because you just said, Dad, I want more. So think about it and do something about it. Because there's open invitation for each and every one of us to walk with Him and see His side of things. And if you understand that it's all about knowing and doing the will of God, He'll show you how much more it is than just being a Christian. If you liked this video, like, share, comment. If you didn't, comment as well. Tell me what you think. What is your experience? And if there's anything you want me to talk about, just give me a shout. I'd be glad to do it for you. That being said, see you tomorrow.